Hi, I'm Cosmo from Fishing Family UK, and I'm here with Monster Carp angler Neil Spooner at the Korda Open Day at Fosters of Birmingham.
Nice to meet you, mate.
Hi Neil, thanks for agreeing to answer a few questions.
No problem.
How did you get into fishing and what was your first fish?
I got into fishing. I saw my cousin biking past my house. He's a little bit older than me, and he had a rucksack on. And as I found out, a fishing rod strapped to the front of his bike or along the crossbar, and told me he was going fishing. I begged and pleaded my mum to let me go with him, which thankfully she did. And we spent all day in the pouring rain. We were sat under a bridge so we were dry until we biked home, but we did not have a single bite. But I think that's the funny thing as an angler, you either fall in love with it or you hate it, you can't see the point. But even there, sitting there, nothing happening, I knew it was something I wanted to carry on. And I think it was 2 weeks later I got to go with him again. Didn't have a rod, he literally gave me a bit of line, I had a hook and a small shot just to help sink the maggot. And I tied it to a stick so I at least had something. And I caught my first fish. It was a little rough, so there you go.
What is your favourite catch ever?
My favourite catch ever is probably when I started to fish Lakelands in Hatfield Peveril. I'd been at Korda for a short amount of time, got back into my carp fishing in a big way and wanted to try and target a fish. I'd never done it before. I'd always just gone fishing to catch, which I still do. I always just like to keep the bites ticking over. But this one fish, I joined the lake, I'd looked in the hut and there was a fish called single scale, real brute, old English mirror. I think it was a male fish. It didn't fluctuate too much in weight and it just looked solid. And I thought I want that in my album, so I've got my ticket, started fishing it. And I was my own downfall to start with because I was fishing swims that I knew I could catch from, but single scale had very little track record from coming out of that area. So over the years, it took me 3 years to catch it. I changed my approach slightly, changed areas of the lake quite a lot, and in the end targeted one specific zone and eventually caught him at a personal best weight. My first fish of over 40 pounds, 41 and a half, so probably that.
What is your favourite bait?
Favourite bait? I love using boilies because once carp start eating them, they can get, I wouldn't say addicted, but once they start treating them as a food source, they become really easy to catch. So if it was a boilie, it would be cell, because I've caught so many fish on it over the years, and I've caught them after introducing a lot of bait, so they're used to it. And it also works instantly on a lot of new lakes I've tried. But one of my favourite ways of catching a carp is in really close in the edge. And the best reaction I've ever had to a bait when you put it in front of them is sweet corn. Little handfuls of sweet corn in areas really gets the fish going crazy. So if I could only take one bait, it would probably be sweet corn.
Who is your favourite fisherman?
Growing up, I probably have to be John Wilson, because when I was much younger, the only fishing programme that there was to watch, or one of the only ones, was Go Fishing with John Wilson. And I can remember sitting up late, I think it was a Thursday night on Channel 4, about 11 o'clock at night. Me and my mate Terry would sit there waiting for it to come on. We'd watch what he was fishing for. It didn't really matter. And then we'd often go fishing the next day, because it often seems to be on in the school holidays. So we'd then get up early in the morning, bike to wherever we were going to go, and try and mimic what John Wilson did. We never did. We never caught anything like he did, but that was the adventure. And then obviously as I progressed into carp fishing, and certainly working in the jobs that I've done, you start to see more and more carp anglers. And when I was getting into it, one that I always read and still do, I've just recently got his latest book, and that's Dave Lane. Always liked his attitude. I liked his sort of hard work he appeared to put into his fishing, and some of the fish he caught sort of back in the day and now have always been incredible.
If you could go fishing anywhere, where would you go and what would you try to catch?
Okay, well, I'm lucky enough to travel the world and catch some great species of fish, but there's a guy at work called Gary Newman who spent a lot of time fishing abroad in some weird and wonderful places, and I think it's Suriname where he goes regularly because it's still got some untapped potential. But there's a fish called a payara. Its nickname is the vampire fish because it's got two real big fangs, and it just looks such an aggressive fish, but it looks amazing. They don't grow massive. It wouldn't be a particularly big fish, but the fight is meant to be unreal. and just the look of the thing when you land one would be pretty incredible. One day I will get that done.
Have you taken anyone fishing this year that hasn't been fishing before?
Not this year. I think with the long winter that we've had, it's been particularly cold because the new people I tend to take are friends of my children.
Yeah.
My children, I guess, have been lucky enough from a young age to join in with what I do. They've done nights, they've caught carp, they've caught just about anything they can at the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of their friends at school find it amazing because it's not something that a lot of people have access to these days.
Yeah.
I think unless you've got elder family members that do it, it's a hobby that could pass you by without you realising you'd really like to have a go.
Yeah.
So certainly last year I took a few of Connor's friends, and just seeing them catch their first fish, doesn't matter what it is, it could be that big, could be a carp, could be a brick, could be anything, but they're always happy, they're always amazed. When they lift a rod, normally a whip we go with because it's simple,
Yeah.
and they get used to flicking the float in, but as soon as they lift and it's pulling back, the excitement, they can't hide it, and then yeah, it's a great thing to do. I wish more people did it because there's a lot more anglers out there that don't even know they're anglers yet, if you know what I mean.
How many species have you caught this year?
This year, okay, or carp. I've caught grass carp as well. I've caught bream. I've caught tench. I've caught a carasio, which was in Spain, so it's a bit like a crucian carp, very similar to that. Trying to think if I've caught any silverfish this year. Oh, I had a pumpkin seed as well. So that's a little, again, it's a broad, it's a little very colourful little predator. You see them right in the edge, and you can catch them on, you can actually catch them on a bare hook because they're little predators and they look for small things. If you flash a small hook in front of them, they'll often strike at it. So yeah, six species I think so far.
I've caught 5 species. I've had a hybrid, a bream, no, not bream, hybrid, perch, tench,
Carp?
roach, carp.
Good, that's good, it's a good start. It's only, where are we now, May, so plenty of time to go as well.
What's it like filming with Ali?
Filming with Ali, it has its ups and downs, but no, generally speaking, we've been doing Monster Carp for quite a while, just me, Tom and Ali, and we really hope it comes across exactly as it's happening because it is 3 mates going fishing around the world. We do have a laugh along the way. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We appreciate how lucky we are to be doing what we're doing, and we just get on. Of course there's fallings out, you know, you're in each other's company for 12, 14 days at a time. I don't tend to, I'm pretty laid back, so if something's not quite right, I'll tend to shy away from it, but Tom and Ali have heated discussions at times, shall we say, but in general it is what it is. It's just three mates having a great time.
What's it like working for Korda?
Working for Korda has been, it's become a way of life. I got the job a long time ago, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
I've worked in a tackle shop, so sort of coming back to Fosters today brings back good memories because I enjoyed doing exactly what I've already done downstairs today, helping people fix an angling problem they might have, giving good recommendation on bait, particular rigs. But I progressed. I'll be honest, I needed to earn more money. I had a girlfriend, we wanted to buy a house, and what I was earning at the time, I couldn't do that. So I went and sold cars for a bit, but then Korda advertised for a job as a sales manager. Got that, so that was great. Really enjoyed the early part of my role, and then I guess the filming side of it and the doing the features and bits and pieces has all come as an added bonus. I never started work at Korda to do any of that, but the fact it's come along, I think a lot of people think it already, but I honestly believe I've got the best job on the planet.
I saw your live Facebook post on Thursday. How was your Italian fishing?
Italian fishing, shorter than I wanted to be and less productive than I hoped it would be. We did have a very limited amount of time fishing. I was there to see Davide, who is the Italian sales rep for Korda. So I've been working with him, so we were visiting shops in the day and then dropping on the lake for an overnighter. Now the first night, Davide had prepared some amazing barbecued ribs for us, so the first night was a bit of a social, and we didn't actually cast any rods out until I think about 11:30 at night. and we were packed up again by 7 or 8 in the morning to go and visit some more tackle shops. And we got our tactics slightly wrong. The guys opposite had 10 bites that night and we had nothing. We were fishing solid bags just to try and nick a bite, but these guys were doing the same, but they'd been baiting all day. So when the carp turned up, they held them for a long time before they did the offer game. We tried to put that right the second night by fishing over a bit more bait, but the fish weren't there. The guys opposite didn't catch either, so the fish had done the off to the other end. I did manage to catch an Italian carp though. Antonio, who owns Parker del Brenta, has like a stock pond. It's quite big, it's about 2 or 3 acres, where he keeps putting fish in, keeps feeding it, they grow, and if they get caught and they're over, I think 18 or 20 pound, they then get put into the main lake. And I couldn't resist. I didn't want to leave Italy without anything, and it was clearly quite easy to catch from there. So I flipped out a method feeder and caught one within about 11 seconds, a fish of about 8 pounds. So I'm back in November. I've got a week on the same big lake, so I hope to put it right there.
What was your favourite episode of Monster Carp?
Favourite episode? Even though I've done so many, that's actually a really easy answer, and that was the very first one we filmed. We went to Hungary and we fished Lake Balaton, which I think it's the biggest lake in Europe. It's 147,000 acres, and I remember turning up to the lake. I remember when we first saw the lake, out to the right, driving in the car, and we still drove for another 40 minutes before we got to where we were fishing, and the lake's still there the whole time, so that gives you an idea how big it is. And when we got there, there was this massive wind blowing. Around the lake you've got massive buildings that warn you of weather warnings. So these are all flashing now, so you can't go out in a boat to bait up because it was too dangerous. And I remember being really daunted. I didn't say anything at the time to the guys because they seemed alright with it. As it turns out, I think we were all a bit daunted. There was a lot of water, there was a lot of wind blowing, and I didn't really know where we were going to be starting. But with the help of the locals who knew the lake, we started catching fish very, very quickly, and they sort of progressed. Once we had to tweak our tactics. Conventional rigs were great, we were catching fish, but we were catching small fish. So we had to change things that we were doing to almost make the rig harder for the small fish to pick up. So we rolled some massive hook baits of about 60 mil just to stop these really small carp. And by the end, we were catching 30 pounders regularly. I think Tom's very last bite was the biggest fish we had. I think it was about 37 pound. But the whole thing from start to finish kind of went perfectly, so that's still my favourite.
Mine was the one when you were in South Africa, and you had the little challenge where you caught tilapia and catfish.
That's right.
And then like whoever won that challenge went on to
pick first choice on the other lake.
First choice on the other lake. I was watching it this morning.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Well, unbelievably, it was one of them where I actually won the challenge, and it was a fishing challenge. Normally Dovey wins them all, so the best thing was we'd agreed that the catfish was the ultimate prize. It was for both fish, but it was going to be the biggest fish overall, so I caught a catfish really quickly. Then I lost another one. Tom hadn't had a bite from a catfish all day. We were fishing worms out at range, but he had been catching decent tilapia. And literally as Ali walked into the swim, because he wasn't very well, to say that fishing's finished, I've had one more bite on the tilapia rod and caught the biggest tilapia as well, just to beat Dovey. I agree, it's a good episode.
What are your targets for this year?
I've kind of got two. I don't really go fishing anymore to try and beat my PB. I just enjoy fishing, always have done. Yeah. But there is a but coming. I'm fishing a special lake for Monster Carp later this year out in Croatia, different to the one we've already filmed on. Yeah. But there's a very realistic chance that a new personal best there could be done, like an overall PB, so that would be amazing. But from a UK point of view, I've just joined a lake that's got a really long scaly mirror called James's fish, and if I'm lucky enough to A, catch it, but B, catch it at the right time of year, that could actually be over £50. So yeah, very, very desirable.
Thanks for your time, Neil.
You're more than welcome, mate. Thank you. Here he comes.
As soon as he heard it, he's off. Take your kids fishing and make it fun. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that notifications button for more videos.
What he said. Sounds good to me.
I know.
And over the past 2 or 3 years, we've always made a point of taking some of their friends with us and their families as well, just to see what enjoyment their children get out of it. Because as soon as you take a child for the first time and they catch a fish, you can see the smile on their face. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, do that one again.
Yeah, and Dad did like this. Like in one of the questions, because I was yawning and I tried to keep on
cover it up.
Yeah.
I did that in my pitch. Marcus was talking like 2 minutes. And we were like, should we start that again without him yawning? Had a long day that day.
Yeah, if you ask me that question again, and we'll go into it again.
Okay. My cousin's fishing. They've been fishing before, but so we took them onto a lake.
Right.
So a set of lakes called Fisherwick, and then they went on the match lake, and then we were pellet waggling, and they had quite a few.
Yeah.
Between them. But as well as that, I've also took my friend last year.
Yeah, brilliant.
Fishing, and I think he absolutely loved it. And I think for his he put on his Christmas list the fishing one.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, and that's exactly what it's all about. If you can do it from such a young age, great to hear. There's a lot of people could follow in your example. Well done. But that's only because we're trying to get the very best thing we can for the end result. You know, we want Monster Carp to be a program that people definitely set their planner for. We want them to watch it every time, and ultimately to do things like you're doing with your family members, get them into fishing. We want people to watch that and think fishing's not just a boring pastime where you sit and you've got to be absolutely quiet. It is about having fun in the
Ali. Yeah, his favourite fish. Ali is his favourite. Ali Hamidi teammate. Ali Hamidi Alan's there. What was your favourite was on that adventure?
favourite adventure was my first one when I went to Hungary.
No.
Not that
Ali.
one. That was with Ali. I was with Ali. It was the first one at Monster Carp.
What was your best adventure?
Do you know when you went to the cage?
Oh, with the sharks? Yeah, that was pretty cool. I'd always wanted to do that. No, we just had all we had on was a snorkel, because you stand up and your head's out of the water, and then when the sharks come in, you just duck down, just hold your breath, and they come right up to the cage, because the guys are bringing the shark in with a big piece of tuna on like a fishing rod, but no hook, just tied on. And as they bring it in, they get it out of the way from the shark so the shark can't get it, and then you duck under and the shark hit the cage. The cage was 3 metres long. One of the shark was longer than the cage. It was 3.2 metres. Big, very big. Do you think you'll do that one day? Yeah.
And when you duck,
Yeah, you're underwater. You hold onto the cage and you hold your breath. Go down, and then you can see because you've got your mask on, but you just hold your breath. Just as long as you can hold it for 30 seconds.
I can hold it for 1,000 seconds.
1,000 seconds? No way. If you could, you could see a lot of shark. I'm counting 3, 4. Pinch your nose as well, because I think you're still breathing. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's a long way from 1,000, mate.
I can do it a bit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, there's a breath. I saw a breath. 9, 10.
Come on then, my leg.
Yeah, that was good fun. I did get told that. Remember at the end of the episode when we got to go in the cage with the shark, I got told by someone whose name I won't mention that I could give Ali a little nudge over the side and no one would have really minded. Sharks would have got a free meal and the world would have been a slightly quiet place, but we can't do that to our